we never come forward and say we don't need capital.
No cap. The beat capped up.
9 o'clock on the dot, no you should check me. Here for an hour, I promise this talk is heavy. I'm cooking, just get it started, don't go asking if it's ready. I'll be damned like we bout to break a levee. I sweat, all of this content push my conscience to a beautiful dark, twisted fantasy. I'm a monster, my posture looking like we was winning Oscars. Far from an act, but still acting like we got sponsors. Define us by the work we do, you know the work of few. Willing to get down in the trenches for the perfect view. So if you at me, then be sure to mention purpose too. And alignment, we own it, far from consignment. I seen the light, it was blind, to contribute this all the timing. Let it breathe till you find it. Get fresh, then set the table for guests. I told you that we was cooking, this compliments to the chef. Let's go. Good morning, creators. Welcome to another episode of Cooking the Late Night. I am your host, Cook, and as always, you know it's a Tuesday and a Thursday night. You know where we're here to be. We're here to make sure that you guys get the fuel you need to execute your visions, your ideas, and most importantly, to equip yourselves to just make a living off of being your creative self. But with that said, I have an amazing show lined up for you guys. I got my guy, Mr. One Fresh Fella himself, Rodger, in the building. I'm excited because this my ace. Like, you know, like you want to see, we've had dialogues, we've had our comparisons, you know, and we both really pushing this creative space. But with that said, you know what time it is. It's time for the cook up. So, my guy, Ant, what you got for me?
What's good, y'all? It's your boy Ant coming to you live and direct from my bedroom. We on Cooking the Late Night tonight. About to cook up a beat for y'all. Let's see what we can do. What's good, y'all? It's your boy Ant.
Alright, look, man, I'm excited to see what you got for us. I'm ready for it. But I know y'all are ready for this experience, right? So, this man to my left, please introduce yourself.
My name's Rodger. I am a designer, social engineer. I'm a freelancer, entrepreneur. I run the brand Fresh Goods and the brand Amongst Friends. I don't want to say too much.
No, please, amongst friends, you know.
Shameless plug, all of that, but, you know.
No shame, all game, we out here. Yo, I'm actually excited for this, like, because we legit, like, talk, like,
absolutely,
as real people.
Yeah, we've checked in a lot of times.
Especially throughout this.
Not even checking, like, dialed in, like heavy.
Yeah, it's been a journey, and you're someone who I view as just someone who's made just strides in this creative space, but have also maintained the integrity of it, right?
Sure.
And let's just start kind of back, because how did you, like, you went to FAMU college, like, you from, like, tell us a little about your background, like, what made you this fresh fella?
The fresh fella, oh man. Going back, I'm from the area, from DC, Maryland area, born in Northwest, grew up in, Silver Spring. I don't know. So I guess I say that to say, like, these are definitely my roots. But then, went down to Florida, to the south for college, Florida A&M and Rodger, shout out to them.
What made you go down there? Like,
shit, man. Honestly, I had to get away, man. I had to get out of the area I grew up in. I'm an upstanding individual now, but humble beginnings, we'll just say. I just had to get away from the space and, found out about FAM and the business program. Honestly, went down there just off the strength of, being an HBCU and a recommendation. Got there and saw literally a party on campus, like the very first night I was there, and I'm like, oh, this is the place I gotta come. This is the college experience.
Yeah.
So, the rest was history. Did my time down there, came back up to the city just because, I love where I'm at. I'm a city boy, and just started, planting new roots. Just trying to, establish a creative space for myself and for, the DC community, and just kind of just vibing, man. Just creating stuff that's real.
And plant roots, that's figuratively and literally, because you actually do have, like, plants. Like,
sure.
We've seen that. Anyone know he's that guy for this.
Yeah.
But, being someone from this area and in this space, when you came back, did you come back with, like, a sense of purpose of what you wanted to bring here? Like, did you, like, all right, after this experience, this is what I want home to feel like?
Sure. No, it's funny. I initially came back having been like popular, if you will, whatever that means. Like, high school and college, I came back home and was like, I'm not on this. Like, I'm not really trying to be on anybody's scene or be in the mix at all. So I kind of became like a lone wolf, if you will, and just did my own thing. But through that, I was meeting individuals in all these different spaces where I'm like, okay, like, this is a dope person, this is a dope person, this is a dope person. And grew a desire to like bring these people together from, who I just already know, just in my, my back home base, to all the fam Ewans who moved up here, to, just new people I was meeting, whether it's in the nightlife scene or in, the creative space or whatever it is, and just feeling like, okay, well, I can't keep these people to myself, so let me find a way to spread these different, inner circles amongst my other circles, and I don't know. It was an organic growth for sure of hey, like I want to reconnect with the space and then figure out how to bring that soul back out. So I think the city has changed a lot. I think even coming back, I maybe was a little shocked at I don't know what DC looked like and what DC felt like. Seeing it, even change from like a 2003 or 2001, 2005 to I don't know 07 or 2012 or whatever when I came back from college and then even now, I mean, seeing how the city, it continues to change. So I think initially, to answer your question, coming back, it wasn't a sense of like home, it was just a sense of like, let me find me again, but I think I've definitely reattached to those roots and found a space where like, okay, like this feels like home again, despite what it looks like.
Yo, I love that, and I love that path to it, because I mean, it's a I don't want to say a revelation, but it could definitely be like impeding on someone to come back and be like, yo, this ain't what I recognize. I enjoy being away, let me go away.
Sure.
Talk about just that I don't want to say will, because I don't think it was that, but just more of that just willingness to stay here and to kind of find your way. Like, what did that look like when you were finding your way? Like, was it like, hey, going out to different places, like linking up intentionally with people, or was it kind of a free flow and following your gut at those times? Because I like that path for people creatively.
Yeah, I think, I have the advantage of having a lot of different circles, whether it's, just from my alma mater to my fraternity, to just being from this area, to just being, whether it's in the nightlife or the creative scene, there's a lot of different spaces that I can easily, tap into. And so, I don't know, it was just I've been able to kind of, jump between from space to space in a really, comfortable way and kind of shed light on, all the different, I'm sorry. Remind me of your question, just to make sure that I'm answering.
No, you're good. I'm
Yeah.
actually just asking, what did that looking like in that first person perspective
Sure.
of finding yourself? What did that feel like?
Yeah.
Like? What did that look like? Because a lot of people don't know how to find themselves.
Okay, sure. I think it took finding a way to pour into all those spaces individually, like on a not trying to pour into all the cups, but like, okay, cool, you know what, I'm gonna pour into my frat, I'm gonna pour into my alma mater, I'm gonna pour into the party scene, I'm gonna pour into the creative scene, and figuring out what all of those felt like, and then almost measuring out like, okay, well, you know what, I need 3/4 cup of this, and I need a half a cup of this, and okay, I need a cup and a half of friends that just don't even want anything or whatever it might be, like, and finding that proper measurement to feel like, okay, hey, this is balance. This is what, my full cup feels like.
Yeah, if I'm getting the analogy correctly, it's like you kind of like cooked up yourself, no pun intended.
Sure,
you like got to really curate your life.
Yeah.
And I love that comparison to like the ingredients in food, because it's something of an experience to people, like and food itself.
Even cooking, even to the extent of cooking up, you have to even like put yourself under the heat in each of those spots to figure out, okay, well, this is what it feels like comfortable, and this is what it feels like when there's pressure, or when everybody's looking at me, or when oh, I really got to rep this in a way that might be a little uncomfortable, but hey, I believe in this, so let me like go ahead and really lean in. And so it is like the metaphor of cooking up is very like, oh, that makes sense, like that is an accurate description of finding yourself, if you will?
Yo, that's hard, yo. And again, y'all, you can see why he's like that intellectual that I reach out to, right? And I mean, and speaking of, you've had conversations about like just the intellectual space in now.
Sure.
And I bring this up not because it's something of the normal base and direction of this conversation,
Sure.
but because I actually really respect like this thought process you go through. You know, what is it for you that you feel like maybe, I don't say missing, because you're very unique in the sense that you're not a big social media person, but when you do something on social, it does make an impact.
Sure.
So talk about being an intentional intellect in this space.
I think engagement is really important. I think that it's a lot of people look at engagement in a digital sense of like, oh, what buttons do people press, or what's gonna make people like something? But you gotta dial down even like deeper to like, how do I speak to this individual at every point that they like see me or engage with whatever it is that I'm presenting? How do they feel? How do they like, you know, how do I make that experience as genuine as possible, right? And so like when you talk about like not being on social media, but then when you are, it does something. It's making sure that when you are saying something, you're speaking directly to the people who are listening to you, right?
Yeah.
And that takes a like a humbleness of like, okay, let me not only find my audience, but really cater to them and provide a message and a look and a feel that is authentic and that's like, hey, like I want to continue to come back here and be present here, right? And that's what I try to do with events. Every time from the time you get a text message or you see a picture from the last event or whatever the case, like how does that make me feel? And I think when of course all of that engagement is currency and it's it matters on a digital sense. It also matters on a like emotional sense, and to be able to, I don't know, tap into that and figure out, hey, what makes people feel like this is authentic, this is genuine, this person looks, feels, speaks just like me. That's the kind of thing that you have to, like do more. And a lot of times that's uncomfortable. A lot of times that is like, oh, me showing my real self or me taking off the I don't want to attach it to a material thing, but even just, I call it like taking off the societal filters. Like, okay, let me just be my authentic self. Let me show like, sometimes I don't know what the fuck to wear. Sometimes I don't know like how to cook this. Sometimes I don't know like whatever. But whatever that is, presenting in a way that tells a story that people can connect with, and that I think brings out that engagement. That brings out that like, oh, I haven't seen this person in a while, and every time I see them, it's something that matters, or something that like I can identify with. Yeah. And I don't know, it just, it gives people, just because you're gonna see a million like, oh, hey, look at me, like with my, new whatever, or let me show you about this, like, scheme to get more money. I don't want to make it a negative thing, but just like, oh, like I'm getting fit, or I'm whatever, like that's all over the internet. But like, okay, like where are the people that like are figuring it out, or like, hey, maybe even have it figured out, but are trying to push it to that next level or stay focused, or like, hey, like I'm running a business and I'm like, super passionate about it and I haven't figured it out, but oh shit, like it's a fucking pandemic and like I'm, there's a lot of factors or whatever, like that, just speaking that voice that kind of isn't there. Yeah. That's what people are like, oh, I'm gonna pay attention to that.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, the beauty of this sentiment that you just brought up is, this is not a strategic ploy. This is who you are. Like, and that's why I really rock with you. Because I think that a lot of times we often are under this perception, or there has been a stigma, right? That no matter, like, if you're going to do something, there is a certain level of standard before it's met to society. Sure. Right? There's a certain level of, hey, this is sure-proof all around. Sure. And, what you just said is kind of in line with, yeah, there's a standard, but just do it. Like, I mean, honestly, I would use this show as an example. It starts on an Instagram in a bedroom, and like, just do it, right? Yeah. And but you do that again often. In fact, we kind of tap into this experience real quick. A little preview of the Rodger Brown show for those at home. going through your day, and you know, you got some new gear that came in. Like,
absolutely.
This is fire. Like, I really appreciate the not only attention to detail, but just the humanness of it. What brought this idea to life for you?
Man, honestly, I just feel like there's a lot of stuff. It goes back to the being genuine thing, right? Like, I think marketing in general, like to take it on a super high level and then bring it back down, right? So marketing in general has been trying to hone in on like, oh, okay, like how do we make it more and more personal? How do we connect with, you know, people at home wherever they are? And at first it was like, oh, hey, look, Diddy's drinking a Pepsi, and like, okay, you drink Pepsi too, so you're just like Diddy. And then it's like, okay, fuck Diddy, like you're a farmer in California, and you know, you're trying to get your potatoes right or whatever, and you drink Pepsi, so oh, look, hey, Diddy drinks Pepsi, so y'all are the same, right? It's that, okay, we're gonna draw that connection. But now it's like, okay, well, how do we connect with the, like, you know, you saw like, oh, micro-influencer, and then like, I don't know, whatever the like different terms are, but you see it gets super like finite into, okay, how do we connect like very personally with an individual in a way that they think is like unmistakable, right? And forgive me, restate it one more time just so I can make sure.
No, just that idea of creating fluidly without necessarily thinking about like
right. And so I think as I'm like looking at, you know, the different climates and the way that media is changing and how we're having different like one-on-one experiences with our celebrities or our people, from like keeping up with the Kardashians or whatever the show might be, like it becomes more and more personal. And I just figured like, well, shit, I'm already doing cool shit. I'm already like, I don't know, there's something going on in my life, whether it's creating, whether it's like, you know, meeting people, whatever it might be, or even just like stretching, or like being fucking a human with family or friends or whatever. Like, people can relate to that. I mean, whether you're a person trying to get fit or somebody like trying to, you know, become a gazillionaire. Like, you see all the ads on YouTube, oh, if you want to like look at me in my house, in my Ferrari or whatever, like, oh no, we don't care about that. But like, where's the real person?
Right.
So, you know, just kind of just being myself, like you said, just like, hey, there's already something going on, and I think people like clothing or like, you know, I don't know, just fucking cooking or working out, whatever it might be, just real life shit, and you know, make somebody laugh, make somebody feel human, make somebody feel warm inside, and make it, you know, something that I don't know, feels authentic and not scripted out. So I kind of just turn on the camera and just, I don't know, do like 15 minutes of editing. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, fuck it, scrap it.
Yo, but and the thing is that I want to encourage this for anyone. Like, I know that that's your process, and not saying that's something that everyone should be able to do, but just in terms of just as a thoughtful person himself, or just as a human being. Because if you look at it, you know, there's only a few genres of movies, but there are thousands of movies under that genre. So if you look at it the same way, like, you know, someone else might be in the workout category, but they might want to see your story, your POV of how you work out. Right?
Exactly.
It's all about like understanding that, you know, at the end of the day, my voice is unique, even if only one person finds it unique.
Yeah. And it's if you look at like two examples, maybe Nicolas Cage, like not the greatest actor in the world, but he keeps fucking making movies, and somehow like people keep financing it. Right, exactly. It's the same, like it somehow keeps working. Or even like Joe Budden, like I think like, okay, this motherfucker has had years and years and years. And I've talked to you about like what I call like the tale of two Joes, like Joe Budden and fucking Joe Rogan. But Joe Budden has had like episodes and episodes of content, and at one point nobody cared about it, but now that he's on Spotify and on this big platform or whatever, like that shit matters. Spotify wants to put all their advertising on all his back episodes and monetize that. But when he was just Joe from fucking New Jersey or wherever, when nobody, like, all he had was pump it up, like nobody really cared. But to your point about like, just do it, just create something, just like start somewhere, and you know, do something that identifies even with yourself. Like, don't even have to worry about identifying with somebody else, because there's going to be somebody else out there that feels it too.
Nah, that's a lot. And by the way, he knows personally I'm a Joe Budden fan, so he came on. He knew he had to get me. You know what I mean? See, it's always
no. Joe is cool. I love Joe as a person. I don't know about Joe as a rapper, but Joe as a person is cool.
It's okay. We're moving forward as a unit. I appreciate that, but you know, I think of what you say on a singular level as a person and your content creator. But then I think of it on a grander level in the events that you have actually put together.
Sure.
For example, mother freaking Rodger land.
Yeah.
And like, I want to just like, I mean, my guy, you're talking about just, what was this moment like for you?
Man. So in this picture, there's a bunch of FAMUans, pretty much, actually all FAMUans. And we rolled deep, honestly. And it's kind of one of those things like, you know, no matter how long it's been since you've seen each other, when the link up comes, like, oh, it's no, like, everybody get the fuck out of the way. We clearing space, like, you know we coming through.
Right.
And there's a lot of FAMUans in the DC area, so, you know, mad love to all of us. But man, Rodger Land was a long time coming. I remember even when with my first, I guess, kind of event ideas, I was kind of like, okay, well, I'm gonna do a dinner party and a house party every single month, like in the same weekend. I'm gonna do a dinner party on Friday and a house party on Saturday, and it's just gonna kind of like roll one into another. Like it's just gonna be, but you know, cool, finances, whatever, you gotta spread it out. And I still kept Rodger Land. Even my brother was like, oh, like Rodger, oh, like who's gonna come to a party that's your name? I'm like, bro, like just feel the vision. There's gonna be some shit you ain't seen before. And it's one of those things you just gotta like believe in, right? You just gotta have to like, I mean, it's fucking Disneyland, like Walt Disney, that's his, you know, last name, and he just, believe, hey, I'm gonna create this space and all these magical things happen, and I make one person believe it, and 20 people believe it, and before you know, it's fucking people bouncing in the, you know, hopping up and down in the moon bouncing.
Yeah, let's go. I mean, we can tag this picture as well just to show, like, yo, I mean, it was a whole experience that was taking place on that weekend. Like, you threw a party, yo.
I really enjoy diving into the niche. I like, you know, just doing something that's different. When you step into, you know, an amongst friends party, I want you to feel like, it goes back to those engagement points. As soon as you walk in the door, as soon as you hit the curb, I want you to feel like, yeah, yo, I've never been to a space like this. I think you can circle through the pictures. Yeah. But, I think, go ahead.
Oh, no, it ain't gonna be Rodger Land now.
Oh, okay, bad. Nice. Anyway, but no. What's it called? Yeah, it's. I really just like to, you know, create a space where, yo, I've never done any shit like this before. I mean, one, just having a backyard or having space in DC is hard to believe in the first place. But to have a fucking moon bounce, you walk. So from the time you hit the curb, there's an ice cream truck in the driveway. You go down the driveway, so you see a huge ass moon bounce, there's a cotton candy machine, popcorn machine, like DJs, the grill going, like a big ass water gun. Like it's literally like a whole separate space.
Yeah.
To the point where, you know, neighbors were in the you know, yard, you know, 2 houses over, like, hey, this is a crazy fucking party, like, I'm coming over. And not even because, like, I don't even care about the party, I just want people to have a good time. I just want you to feel like, yo, this is something I've never been to before.
It's a where were you moment, right?
Yeah,
it's one of those, like, I wasn't there, and it was like, well, damn, where was I? Like, why wasn't I just lit there?
Yeah.
But, you know, it's not even to that point, but it's to the expressions throughout the crowd. It's one thing when you can just look at a random photo and see everyone having a good time. I think that's where most of the times any experience that you've curated that I've been around, that's kind of the theme, is that at any given point, everyone's enjoying themselves. You know? And just so from this space, you know, because we talked a little bit, we went past this whole target audience thing. You talked about going from pockets of friends to pockets of friends. Like, how do you know when to blend friends?
So the funny thing is, like, in my office, I have a wall with like index cards on it. Like, have you ever seen any crime movie? And I think you might have even seen it, but if you've seen any crime movie and the guy's got like pictures and index cards and the strings.
I just watched Money Heist. I'm real
exactly. I love that drama. Money Heist is really good. But you know, just the way that they kind of try to string this criminal to that criminal, whatever. I've just put a bunch of people on the wall and like, okay, hey, I know this person likes this and this person likes that, and you know, based off the friendships that we built, I feel like, okay, well, we built something to where you trust me, and anybody I introduce you to, you know, it's going to be at least of my caliber. So based off of our friendship, let me introduce you to somebody else so you all can share that same thing that we share. And that just becomes a, like, you know, reciprocal cycle where if I invite you, I don't have to worry about who you invite because you know the energy that I keep. And respect it to a factor, to a level of like, oh, okay, well, I'm not even going to impede on that. I know not to even ask, oh, well, hey, I've got this person who's maybe trying to, like, do what you do and wants to interview. Like, no, we're not doing that here. Like, cool, we can do business later, whatever, but you know how this, kind of space operates. And so there's no need to even, question it or be, uncomfortable at I don't even want to say an amongst friends thing, but just in any space that, we share.
Sure.
Yeah.
No, I mean that's hard because again, it shows the attention to detail in people, right?
Yeah.
Oftentimes people are like, all right, like I got a bunch of I want to get people together to go snowboarding.
Sure.
It's a hard thing to do.
Yeah.
But if you come into different people and you find that similar interest, like, all right, now let's create a snowboarding movement.
Yeah. And I think even outside of, and that was the formula for like just the dinner party. Just when it was a select number of people, like, okay, well, I know I can only pick 10 at a time, so cool. Let me, identify these specific people that for a purpose can be friends and then do something else, right? But then when it goes on a larger scale, it's just like, hey, this is just the energy that we're keeping. I mean, just like whether it's, camaraderie or just friendship or just, bonding and genuineness and being your authentic self, like just me as a person, what I try to exude is like, I want you to see yourself in me. Like, I mean, we've talked a lot of times, I've just said like, I'm just a mirror, like whatever, appreciation or accolades you try to like say, oh, hey bro, like you're doing this, like, hey, I'm doing it, I'm able to do it because you're here to, be a part of it and have given your input or whatever the case. So it's always a matter of just identifying with the people around you in this similar space.
Yo, like I said, man, and it's something that you actually have to witness. Unfortunately, due to Big Loney, we can't be as active as we were. But and before we even get to addressing just your mindset through this time period, let's go back. You became a freelancer, right?
Yeah.
How did this start? Like, was it like the job market wasn't what you wanted, or was it you saw with the job you worked and was like, this ain't what I want? Like, how did you get into the freelance space?
I've always the first flyer was in high school. I tried to throw a party for my birthday and like have a go-go, I think like New Impressions or whatever band at that time.
Oh, you lit.
Yeah.
And New Impressions is like the band.
My parents paid a grip, but nobody showed up. Apparently my flyer was just too, like, it was ahead of its time. Like it didn't appeal to my, and also, even outside of the flyer shit, I just thought I was popular enough that like, I don't gotta tell anybody, everybody's just gonna know and everybody's gonna come. And that did not work at all. So, that was a fail. But,
first lesson in marketing.
Yeah, right. You actually gotta market.
You gotta
tell a single person at least. But I think after that the bros in college, just having to do like party flyers for my frat, that became I became that guy just because I was creative, and from there it just rolled into doing t-shirts, doing fucking like logos, marketing campaigns, worked for a PR company in college, and then just rolled into, whatever other opportunities, video production, just brand managing, all type of shit. But before, I guess, freelancing officially in this current state, I did do the corporate route. I did, work for a large, health IT company and, reputable and, very profitable, but it didn't identify with like what I was trying to produce and who I felt like I was and the kind of work that I wanted to do. And so it went from a thing of like, oh, okay, well, this pays good and it looks good or whatever, to this does nothing for me like on an internal space. And so I just had to get out of there. It did it for 2 years and definitely made an impact. And when I saw that my work wasn't being supported in the way that I felt like was advantageous, if you will, from trying to seek new resources to trying to, introduce new ideas and position the company in a way that maybe hadn't been before, just given like the changes in the market or whatever. And none of those things being received, it's kind of like, okay, well, this isn't the space for me. I need something that is more, comfortable with change or willing to introduce new ideas or new approaches to reaching, the markets that are important. So from there, I just kind of like, I'm the type of person that every time I quit my job, I just kind of up and quit. I'm just kind of like, okay, like we're doing good. You know what? I'm out. And
like, hey guys, been real. Holla at you.
Pretty much. It definitely, and not up and quit. I mean, you definitely do it the right way, but just like, okay, like I'm gonna keep that straight face and that, whatever persona that is until I'm off it, and then I'm off it. And then, you jump into the freelance ocean. You jump into the space of like, what can I create on my own? And that has definitely, it's rewarding. It's bittersweet, man. It's very rewarding in freedom and opportunity, but it also is very vicious in if you don't have the discipline or the wherewithal, the ability to tread water or swim or even fucking backpedal like it's what you do naturally. I mean, not backpedal, but whatever, backstroke. Yeah, there you go. Then you sink.
I mean, that's a fact. So let me ask you this: what, if possible, like, what was at least a time where you kind of really looked at this as like, this is a sink or swim moment for me? Like, where you were like, just like, and it may not even have to be about like the situation itself, but just how did you encourage yourself to swim?
Shit, every day? Like
drowning right now.
Right? No, definitely not drowning. I think, man. I mean, that kind of brings it 100 light years up to current day of like manifestation. Just like, how do you can keep yourself continuing to go? Just a matter of like, I'm not worried about what happens next. Like, I know that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, and as long as I continue that path and really focus on that, all those next things will come. All those things that I'm thinking of, all those things that I'm like, oh, I wish this would happen, or oh, I'm expecting this to happen next. It's already happened, and while it does create that's again shooting light years ahead, but it is a matter of like, you just have to believe that you're worth that, like that you can be as good as you feel like you are. You do have the skill set that it takes to maintain a business and to really make money off of the things that you're passionate about.
Yeah, and I think that realization is something that's hard to come by for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. Not because it's a far off thought, but because you get beat up a lot by the system. Like, since the time of a cognitive thought, we are put on a trajectory or a train of education, then higher learning, then apply to work somewhere else. Mm-hmm. And it's never a time that's really dedicated to stop and think about, who do you want to be?
Sure.
So, when did you think, who I want to be?
Man, yesterday. Like, I've always had a, oh, I want to do this, and I want to like, oh, this is important to me, or this is what I'm passionate about. But literally, like, I don't want to attribute too much to the pandemic or to the like isolation that the current world status has forced us into. But just being able to face yourself and just dive into like, hey, I actually like this, or I'm actually really intrigued by or interested in or talented in or whatever. These things that maybe I never committed enough to before, I don't know, you just start believing like, oh, like you draw some shit once and it's like, oh, that's actually good. Or, oh, hey, like I put myself on camera and, oh, like people are responding to this. Like there's hella flame emojis or there's like whatever, like, whatever your measurement of success is, but you just start to see that, oh, maybe something I'm doing is relatable. Even if it's bad, it doesn't even have to be good. It's just about the journey. It's just about being genuine and showing like, hey, like at some point, I'm putting out what I really love. And maybe you'll like it, maybe you won't, but this is really me.
Man, again, like, when people say, just in general, to surround yourself with people who push you and motivate you, this is why like this guy's number is in my phone and saved, and probably in the more recent than most, because like just this idea of where you are is one that universally is one that people would love to attain that idea to.
Sure.
And you brought up the pandemic, so I think like, and just like this time, this moment of stillness, because I think you and I have had side conversations just about how it was almost like a cocoon season for a lot of people, and you're coming out discovering you're a whole different, like you like, all right, these winds are on me now, what do I do next?
Yeah.
Like, so just from personal, like, transition, and then we could even talk about, like, amongst friends and just how that's transition.
I think personally it's just a lot more just paying attention to myself. I think where before there was a lot of like, I've got to pay attention to this group and this person and this space and these people. Now it's just like, those things, other things matter, but like I matter, and I see why and how I matter, from stretching to eating right to like just like being mindful of self. Like I see all the ways that I matter, and then you know just start to roll that outwardly. But that's in a personal sense, and that goes even into my projects, just paying more attention to like, hey, what does it take to complete something? What does it take for me to be an artist and a business person? How do what do I have to have in order for this to make sense and for me to like produce in a quality manner? And then even with like the brands, hey, well, we can't be in front of each other all the time, or we can't kind of tap in a one-on-one party space. But how do we make, I don't know, how do we meet each other still? How do we still get those levels of like genuineness and I don't know, friendship? Definitely, it's been from online stuff, from just having a channel or I don't know, creating digital content to creating merchandise. I think a lot of people are coming up on just selling their ideas, selling what it is that certain brands mean to them, more so than what you visually see or what you got in person. So whether that's t-shirts, whether that's, I don't know, fucking just digital experiences, I think that's definitely something that at least my brands are kind of starting to pour into.
Nah, it makes sense because that whole digital space is like the wild, wild west. Mm-hmm. Like there's endless possibilities, but there's also no rules and regulations.
Sure.
And so it's really a good place to be for fun. But for yourself, you really carry this just sense of awareness that I think is not easily obtained.
Okay.
Now, just in background and structure, like, what are some of the pivotal moments in you that kind of like help you to just recognize who you are, like to accept, I am a human, I am capable of mistakes, but I'm gonna bounce back and I'm kind of still the man out here. Like just from that space, and I ask that to you because I think that you're someone who has worn it properly.
Yeah, that's heavy, man. That's heavy. There's a lot of things in life that humble people, man. I think personally, relationships. I think I'll just say relationships in general, whether that's friends or loved ones or intimate situations. Like relationships will definitely humble you and put you in a space where like, okay, I've got to realize that I'm human, and also like also pull myself out of the human aspect and really look at the landscape and how I'm acting here. I think, also just like being an artist and being vulnerable. I think, being willing to put your work out there and being willing to like, hey, like this is what I really care about. This is what I really, want to do and what I'm passionate about. I think that puts you in a space of like, just vulnerability and like, hey, I've got to be aware of how people are responding to me, how people, receive my work, but also how I feel about it. And it makes you hyper aware to where, yeah, I am an artist and I'm sensitive about my shit, but at the same time, this is my shit, so I'm just gonna produce what I want. And I also don't necessarily care what everybody thinks, Yeah. And I think also listening to other people, as personal as the last point and maybe the first one also were. I think also being hyper aware of everything that's going on around you, being willing to be wrong, being willing to be like, hey, maybe this isn't as good as I think it is, or maybe like I'm need to revise my approach or be more humble or whatever it might be. I think just being willing to be wrong puts you in a space of like, okay, well, I can see the good and bad in what I'm doing and what others are doing and see them all the same and just realize like, okay, well, let me just produce in a way that I don't know, is inclusive.
Sure.
Inclusive.
Sure.
There you go.
No, I mean, and I know the thing is because again these are kind of like next tier questions
Sure.
as opposed to normal things, but that's only because of just how I know how your brain works.
Yeah.
But you know, let's get back to like a bare necessities for somebody,
Sure.
right? You know, because you went to school for business. Like, where did the design side come from?
Man, I taught myself the design shit, man. Honestly, I've always been creative, always, you know, drawn, always just done like just cool shit. So I just figured, okay, well I don't know, I figure I can figure this out on my own. Just click around on some programs and eventually it'll come together. And I mean, from doing even flyers in high school, it came natural. But the business side was like, okay, well, how do I do these contracts? How do I really tap into, I don't know, the side that will give me real dollars instead of just being creative. And so, you know, the I don't know, combination of the schooling in business and the, I guess, self-taught graphic design and creative aspect has put me in a position where like, hey, you can kind of be flexible out here. Like you can come up with your own contracts and own ideas, and as long as it's done right, like, you know, people gotta respect it.
Yeah, and the thing that, and while you were talking, the one thing that came to my mind as far as just, you know, this design space that you're in and doing it, like, yo, like you've literally just kind of saw, like, you saw the cup was half full. You were like, let me pour more water into it. Like,
Sure.
you knew how to do the designs. You started to work your way through it. You figured it out. You got inspired by, I'm sure, things coming up. But to make that connection to say, all right, like, if I really want to do this, it's going to take a little bit more into that. I think it is one of the hardest things for people in the creative space to jump over to, right? Like, everyone's a creative until you got a type of proposal.
Yeah. You know, the business side is big. The business side is important, man. I mean, even now, I still struggle with that of like, yo, like, as excited as you might be about the work, like, fucking get the shit on paper. Get a contract, get something, like, you know, that says, hey, I'm doing this officially, you're going to pay me. Like, it's not, you know, this isn't for fun. We're not just doing this because I like art or because I like my craft or whatever. So yeah, that business side is really important. People can be very skilled artists and not, you know the business side, and that affects a lot of people, unfortunately.
If you don't mind, what are some programs that you would recommend someone either utilizing or like every creative should be familiar with this platform?
Sure, yeah. Man, a lot of stuff. So not even on like a business side, but creatively, Unsplash is a really good resource for free stock photos, really high quality shit, like not some like throwaway, like, oh, I don't want this, but like really, you know, talented photographers being, you know, just giving their stuff away basically, just for attribution. Unsplash.com is really big. For project management, I really fuck with, I really use Dubsado, Dubsado, I don't know how you say
That's it.
But they're really good for just kind of managing tracking all of the different analytics that come with running a business, from, you know, sales percentages and, I don't know, just like even workflows of like, hey, I received a new, you know, email, so let me immediately produce a quote and then automatically send them an email, and just kind of like automating the whole process. That's been really pivotal. Evernote is really good just for like keeping track of stuff. Yeah. I don't know, what other, I mean, I don't know.
No, I mean, that's a ground, like, we're not going to go through like your whole computer, like, hey,
Right.
I think that, you know, something like even Dubsado is something that maybe people might not be familiar with. And if you are, you know, hopefully you're using it to the automation part. Because I have Dubsado, I'm not automated at all.
Yeah, I got a couple things set up, but not, you know, not to the full scope. But it is, I see the potential. It's crazy.
And someone was on the other day that I should actually look more into Square. Like, Square is kind of one of those similar platforms.
Sure.
But here we are geeking out about this. You know, for you, what was the one project that, like, one piece of work that you can share that's not, you know, attached to NDA that you got to see somewhere and you were like, I was a part of that, like, or just seeing your work in a space that really brought you appreciation?
I think any time I can connect personally with whoever's like on the creating end or the receiving end. I mean, my good friend, Pete Nouvelle, I mean, every time he does something, I've definitely appreciated being able to see his work and being able to see, or hear his work and see like a visual representation of it through, whatever it is that I've done. I really enjoy being able to, I don't know, who else? Really anything, anytime, these days I try to only do projects, and that's one of the benefits of freelancing. I try to only do projects that I can personally identify with, and like, hey, I see some type of purpose in what's going on here. So, I think anytime, I can be creative and have some type of creative control and really like not only just create, because like, hey, you're paying me, but because I believe in the product and the end result. That's always been important.
Sure. And funny, because I probably should have followed this up after asking about what programs you use.
Sure.
But I'm going to show this in the most genuine way possible, because I love this.
Put me on blast.
All right, I'm not gonna do that. I mean, I'll do this one. I like the other one. The other one, I like this energy. I like this energy. But one of the things that you do is journaling. Right, like talk about it. Like this is a hard flex photo, by the way. Like I'm really wondering how you took it, but don't give them your trade secrets.
Nah,
but
mirrors, man. Like I said, I'm just a mirror.
Hey, I see the bar. So tell me, like, what about like journaling? Like, how does that help you?
It helps you. It personally helps me be kind of in the third person. It helps me kind of look at what I've done with my actions, my habits, whatever it is that happens in a day, goals, priorities, and just kind of put it on paper and see like keep myself accountable. Hey, you did or didn't accomplish this. And there's been times I even give myself a grade. I don't know, 7 out of 10. Okay, that's a C or whatever. Just like keeping track of, how I've done each day. Journaling definitely really just keeps me accountable and keeps me genuine as well.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I like that. I might have to adopt that, like, just personally, because
for sure.
I'll be some 5 some days. I ain't gonna hold you.
Yeah.
But some days I'll be 9.
But you gotta do that grade. You gotta know, okay, like some days I am a D. Like I'm not as efficient as I might have been or whatever. Sure. But when you keep it all in your head, okay, you can easily just like roll over one great thing or misstep or whatever. And I think it's important to see both sides and keep yourself aware.
Sure.
Because like that awareness.
No, man, I love that. So look. This is that point in the show where we can get to that question. Okay. Right? Okay. What does legacy mean to you?
Okay. Yeah. I've seen a couple people answer this. What does legacy mean? Legacy means living forever. It means making an impact to a point where even after you're gone, people have to say, hey, this person mattered. This person did something that was important to who I am, what I'm trying to exhibit, the space that I'm trying to fill. So it's funny. I've held a I don't know, mantra that I'm gonna live forever, right? And people kind of look at me like, oh, nobody lives forever. Like that's not possible. And of course, in a physical space, whatever. But I want to do something that matters to whatever community or space that I'm in, to where people feel like, hey, that was important. I have to look back at that and feel like, that changed the way I look at this industry, these people, this culture, and that's a legacy. Being able to create something that lives on beyond where you are currently.
Yeah. With no further additions to that, please, good sir, plug any way that we can support you, that any creative out there get in contact with you.
Yeah, definitely. It's always amongst friends. I mean, that's why we're here now. I'm follow me at One Fresh Fella. That's a PH, no F's. But I'm everywhere, man. If you see me, you see me. Like, I don't even really got anything to plug, man. I mean, as we said in the beginning, I'm not a social media person, but I just kind of am where I am. But, we pushing the Rodger Brown show. Every Tuesday we buy shit, we review products. We just pushing, we got some shit coming.
I'm hyped about that. I'm really
absolutely. We got some really good shit coming. Yeah. And hopefully, we're gonna get back to dinner parties. Amongst friends, we're gonna get back to. Just doing some really creative spaces. We talked about pivoting earlier. Really looking into getting into merchandise and 3D printing and putting out some shit that just benefits the people. Life goods, as I call them. But you know, all coming very soon.
Yo, man, look, I have no other words. This is legit, like one of like my brother. Like I appreciate him. We crack jokes often. I tell him like we got this whole Goku Vegeta thing going on in this creative world. It's something that we both pushing heights and levels, but at the same time, we can team up and do something crazy as well. So I appreciate you, man, for jumping on the show tonight. But for my creators out there, I know y'all been waiting to hear the cook up, so we're gonna go over to my guy Ant. What we got, man? Let's hear what you been doing, bro.
All right, y'all, it's your boy Ant. As you can see, we got the track laced up, about to hit play. Let's take a listen, see what it sounds like. Hey. So yeah, there y'all have it, man. Y'all can find the full version of that jump on my Instagram, AYE__ANT Cook. Appreciate you, brother. I'll let your boy.
Hey, yo, you had it jumping over here. Let me tell you, in studio, we was rocking completely. I appreciate you, man. One of the members of the DuPont Brass out here in DC. Hey, Ant, the producer. You're a straight beast, bro. I appreciate all that you do. So to all my creators out there, I want to thank you guys for tapping in on another episode of Cooking the Late Night. You got to ride with my guy, Rodger, one fresh fella himself. And when I tell you, man, it's about intention, it's about purpose. That's in actions and all that you do. Hopefully he brought you a little bit of that light here. While we're here and closing out, just a few more things. One, I hope you all, if you have not already, of course, everyone hopefully registered to vote, but hopefully you guys are out there and using your voice and out there voting. I would also like to shout out my guys at ADH Collection for the drip today. Sponsored outfits. We gotta make sure we give shout outs and make sure people get the love they see. That's ADH Collections. My guys out here doing great things. And to all my creators out there, good morning and stay cooking.